Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. My name is Star Raptor, and welcome to the channel. I didn't expect to make an emergency video talking about a huge reveal in the Bad Batch Season 3 premiere, but here we are, guys. This is a huge reveal, not just for the Bad Batch, but for Star Wars as a whole, so you have been warned for the spoiler-centric discussion video. Here we go. Omega is Force sensitive. Yes, we spent a couple of years speculating, theorizing on what her importance is to Star Wars, and this female clone of Jango Fett is Force sensitive. So all these reveals, this big reveal comes from this third part of this season premiere called Shadows of Tantis, and we're on Wayland at Mount Tantiss where they're doing all these experiments with Dr. Hemlock, and they're getting the samples of blood from all these clones. Remember, they're phasing out the clones. This is close to the events of Revenge of the Sith, and we have all these clones, including Crosshair, who was a Bad Batcher. They're getting their blood drawn. They're trying to figure out a specimen, and we see him make an appearance. We get to see grand old Poppy himself, right? The Palpatine of it all shows up at Mount Tantiss, escorted by his wonderful Red Royal Guards to foresee what is going on with Project Necromancer, which we know from the Rise of Skywalker. On Exegol, he had that clone body ready to go. When he died in Return of the Jedi, his Force spirit flew through the galaxy, as crazy as it sounds, and implanted itself into a decaying corpse that couldn't contain his power. So we are going all the way back to just after the events of Revenge of the Sith, and we're already seeing him doing these experiments, but it's crazy. So let's look at what is going on. They find out that Omega has the M count, and she tries to escape, and she has actually escaped because they don't want to kill her. So she gets off Mount Tantiss before she rescues Crosshair. So they're now out in the galaxy, and Hemlock has to do everything he can to get her back, and that's why she's been such an important target. We haven't known until now that she's got an M count, and this just is huge for the Star Wars galaxy. It makes sense from a logic perspective that Palpatine is trying to find a way to harness himself that is with a strong M count himself as a Force sensitive, very Force sensitive, strong Sith Lord. It makes sense that he would find a body that is a clone that could perhaps contain the power of the Force, right, of the midi-chlorian. They don't call it the midi-chlorians anymore. They just call it the M count, going back to the Mandalorian. So a little tie into the Mandalorian there. As we see in the Mandalorian, we're getting Grogu and getting his DNA. So this is what's great about the Star Wars galaxy, right, is it's just all connected. But going back to the character of Omega, how does this change everything? Okay, if she's got an M count, that means she's able to use the Force in ways that a normal person really couldn't. At least she doesn't have to train as hard as, let's say, Sabine Wren from Ahsoka live action series. So what does this mean for the character of Omega? I think we're going to have to see her become, maybe she doesn't become a Jedi. She could be a Padawan or a learner, right? There are certain examples of characters out there that are Force sensitive but aren't actually Jedi, right? We're at a point in the timeline where the Jedi are being hunted down by the Inquisition, right? About the Inquisitors are out there. You know, this is time of Obi-Wan, of Cal Kestis' Jedi Fallen Order. It's not easy being a Jedi at this point. We are seeing previews of this very season introducing Asajj Ventress, and she's wielding a yellow lightsaber. So perhaps she comes in a picture to help train Omega. And who's her lover from back in the day? Quinlan Vos. We have heard his name mentioned in the Obi-Wan series as one of the people that's like leading the path to getting these Force sensitives to a safe haven. I would love to see Quinlan Vos somehow interact with Omega. And, you know, this is jumping the gun probably a little bit, guys, but I think there is a potential for already seeds for a spin-off series just based on this information alone. Seeing that Omega's Force sensitive, she perhaps could need a teacher to kind of harness her abilities to understand herself a little bit more. And then who better than a Jedi Master and his prior protege, Asajj Ventress, to help shepherd the way, and that could lead into something with another series of these Jedi on the run, right? We've been getting this great content and animation with the Bad Batch, with the trooper perspective, but what about a small contingency of Force users trying to duck under the radar of the dark side of the Empire. And we have seen a little bit of that in Star Wars Rebels. So I'm not sure if it's, something that Lucasfilm would want to dive into and kind of cross the streams to have something too similar. Or, maybe, what's to say we don't get a coda at the end of the Bad Batch, which leads us into Omega like 10 years older, and she's after the events of Return of the Jedi, and we're dealing with all these events of her maybe even encountering Luke. Like I'm going, speculating irresponsibly at this point because, guys, I'm just very, very excited that the show has swung for something this big and introducing the idea that a clone can be force sensitive is huge for Star Wars. We go back to Legends with The Force Unleashed 2 with Starkiller, he being a clone that was derived of a force-sensitive character of Galen Marek, and then we get to see him leading the rebellion and then working against Darth Vader and all this stuff. Like, there's some really cool lore recently in Star Wars. Going back to Rise of Skywalker, I will say it's kind of cool lore how there could be a clone body that harnesses a force sensitive, and we're seeing the vain attempt of Palpatine doing whatever it takes to prolong his chokehold on the galaxy and the Empire. And by the way, just hearing Ian McDiarmid reprise the role of the Emperor, not losing any steps, this guy, oh man, every time he's on a screen, you're gonna pay attention, and just the uttering of the words Project Necromancer and him looking at the specimens in that room and not showing what those specimens were. I'm guessing they were just souped up clones or something, or maybe something else entirely different. Could Omega's blood perhaps be used in the creation of Snoke? Right? This is something that's been a big mystery for Star Wars ever since The Force Awakens of who's Snoke and all this stuff. And maybe she's part of the causation of the creation of Snoke. And well, it seems likely that she is part of the creation of Palpatine's clone bodies that his spirit goes into eventually, right? There's a lot more episodes this season. This is the final season of the Bad Batch. So I think we'll have a pretty solid understanding of what is going to happen from this point forward, going into the rest of the Star Wars timeline. But man, oh man, that was a little bit of a rambling video, so hopefully you stuck with me through this one, guys, because I'm just really excited, and I had to just record a video really quick because it's been a while, and it's great to have some Star Wars massive reveals like that again reverberate not just through the Bad Batch but for the entire Star Wars timeline. So let me know in the comment section below, what are your theories? What are your speculation? These kind of announcements, these kind of reveals are what get this community to thrive in a positive way. So if you want to be part of a positive Star Wars community here at the Star Raptor YouTube channel, please subscribe and do hit that notification icon so you'll be notified when future videos go live. And do hit that like button if you like this content to help spread it around the positive parts of the Star Wars community. So that's going to do it for me, Star Raptor. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also included 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Star Raptor.